I'm here at Croke Park with Dermot Crowe of the Sunday Independent. We've just watched Tipperary against Dublin. It finished up 2-23 to Tipperary, 24 points to Dublin, so 5 points in it for a finish. The goals coming from Conor Bowe, who came on at half-time, Dermot, and also Jason Ford. Coming away from the game, who do you think played well? What did both teams get out of this?
Yeah, it was kind of like, it was obviously a high-scoring game. It's a free-scoring game, and that. I didn't think it was the most intense game. You weren't really kind of edge of your seat by any means. So it was just a bit flat from that point of view. But I suppose from a Dublin point of view, obviously Donald Burke scored 15 points. I think 8 points in play. A bit of an exhibition. Was moving it all over the field. The flip side of it, Considine did well. Alex Considine, I thought, did reasonably well. He went off. He got 3 points. Very kind of spectacular scores, actually, 2 of the 3. And had a great tussle with Brian O'Mara there, the two of them. He was kind of getting out in front of the ball. O'Mara was letting him out, and yet he was finding it difficult to get the shot in. He was blocked 3 times, but he ended up with 3 points in play. So he did quite well. He was taken off later on. I'd say he's had a recent injury, so it might have been a recurrence of that, I'd say. It wasn't on form. It could have been. The problem for Dublin, I think, maybe was there was a few disappointing performances then from some of the other forwards, like Cian Boland, who had played very well the last day, seems to struggle to get into it this time. I think he started inside, was brought out, just couldn't get to the pitch of the game, I thought. And Danny Sutcliffe didn't really have much impact. Fergal Whiteley didn't have much impact, so it was a bit hit and miss. Joe Flanagan come on late, Sean Curry come on late, actually got into it a bit, but the game was probably gone beyond them at that stage. Tipperary-wise, I don't think they would have played as well as they did the last day. They made 7 changes, a lot of changes, but it's a good result for them at the same time coming up here to win. Dublin probably more closer to full strength, I suppose, when you look at it that way.
Yeah, I mean, Tip have made 9 changes the previous day, 7 changes this day. To me, Tipperary aren't worried who's in the starting team. The way they asked Brian Cody, are you worried about not having a settled team? And he says, we're worried about having a settled spirit. I think with Tipperary, it's like a settled system. Everyone knows how Tipperary play, and you're not relying on like Donald Burke to score 8 points to kind of dig you out because other lads aren't stepping up. It's more about controlled system, I would say. And even you can see the zonal setup on puck outs when Dublin are trying to drag them one side. They run the ball through the lines. They try and play the percentages. It's quite a departure from the Dublin or the Tipperary we're used to seeing.
Yeah, it is. There seems to be a bit of method to the usual Tipperary madness, I suppose, if you want to put it that way. But there was a structure there, definitely. And as you say yourself, he's given lots of chances to fellas, and there's been a lot of changes, and it hasn't really affected. They've kept a bit of consistency in terms of the performances, which is important. You know what I mean? I suppose you look at the last day of the Kilkenny game, that would have really kind of been a game that targeted, I suppose. There was a bit of history there in terms of poor performances and poor results for a while, and so there's sometimes a difficulty getting the stimulation going for the next game. Maybe here in a kind of an empty, low atmospheric kind of venue like Croke Park tonight. Sometimes teams can struggle a bit with that, and then with the changes as well. But they did quite well. They were a bit more clinical than Dublin, and obviously they got the goals, and that really was the difference at the end of the day. In terms of the system they have and the players they have, like Noel McGrath didn't start tonight. He came on the first half, and Callan come on later on as well. So, and those players also seems to have been re-energized a bit by the change of management. So there's
Bonner Maher, Dan McCormick. I would say a lot of the older players who look like they were more or less done in the last couple of years, and I would say the team was a bit ragged, but they look like they're top quality players, which we knew they were again. And you look like, okay, there's another couple of years in them.
Yeah, and I suppose the perception they have, it's all about that kind of, do they believe that there's something there, and at this stage, having hurled for so long, and there does seem to be that sense of optimism now with Liam Cahill there, and there's this sort of belief that he can make things happen, and I think that's very obvious, and I think people are looking at Tipperary now in a different way altogether coming the summer. They're expecting it to be serious force. Whether it'll happen this year for them, how far they can go, I'm not sure. It might take a little longer. But there's a real sense of excitement, and there seems to be competition there for places now as well, which is a big factor too.
Okay, well, that's it from Croke Park. Myself and Dermot Crowe of the Sunday Independent.